Propaganda becomes both the pacifier and the justifier that maintains the status quo. It will also come in the form of old and new news outlets that say they're determined to represent the people's views while raking in millions from advertisers and sponsors, determined to do the exact opposite. We need to understand these things in moving forward. We need to understand what divides us and why. Where are we directing our energy and what has been left out of the equation that main news outlets are not addressing or choose to completely ignore for their own good reasons. This is why we need more and more independent journalism, not just in the mainstream, but also to find and raise the voice of community leaders, those without a voice or are too busy to use it. I mean, look what we're up against. For one thing, we need to compete with all this right-wing sponsored media on the internet. Those empty echo chamber shows whose anchors act as fusspot interpreters of a dangerous neoliberal agenda. Ironically, their main theme of their programming is to act as the victim and spout on about being silenced, denied free speech, and it's all the fault of the left and so on, while at the same time being highly paid conduits for the lies of their millionaire sponsors that ensure the real victims are kept well out of the equation. So the tabloid hard copy news outlets is shifting its operation to infest the internet with the promotion of daily podcasts consisting of right-wing apologists who crudely put together, unchallenged by counter-argument, false versions of history, current affairs and environmental conditions, while attempting to destroy not the views or arguments, but the reputations of those who would challenge their lies. We are forewarned and see in the comedy that is the American political administration, which is overspilling into the UK in the form of our political and judicial systems. Not it needs to be said in their seemingly continuous incompetence. The system is not incompetent, the system is working exactly how it should do, exactly how it was designed to do. Whether it be in the work of Boris the bumbling baron, who can see off equally bumbling UK journalists with a cup of tea, or in our judicial system where, for instance, a magistrate can manipulate to help Julian Assange into an early grave, as well as using our judicial system in assisting US world domination through putting every journalist that's not in the pocket of the corporate press in the same grave danger, no pun intended. And talking of the corporate press, as I already mentioned is not enough, we hear Andrew Neil, a long-time warrior of the right, announcing a 24-hour GB news channel to rival BBC and Sky, rival them in what we could ask. The search for truth? I don't think so. So there are good reasons for the expanding infestation of junk news on the net and why Julian Assange should never see the light of day. When the right and their interests feel under threat and run out of ideas for pacifying or persuading the masses, they will turn to subterfuge, chaos, and as we were experiencing during the COVID crisis, disaster capitalism. They will turn to even more odious divide and rule tactics of blaming the victim and widen the gap of fact and public misinformation further. The justification for all of this will be neatly tied up by the elite's most effective weapon in controlling the domestic enemy. That's us, propaganda. This is what we're up against, but it's not the end of the story. We need to remember here, this is also a very frightening time for the right, and for good reason. They know there are two ways it can go. Their way of pitting the public against each other, using above methods and providing a platform for the worst elements of our society through scaremongering, conspiracy theories, violence and coercion, as we have seen if we have been paying attention. They will stop at nothing, even killing us, in order that they maintain their wealth and power. So how do we challenge this? We could ask, what is it the elite fear most? The answer is simple: organised and self-determined communities. How do we organise? By expanding on some of the tactics we have experienced during the pandemic. Union membership has taken an upsurge during the COVID and should tell us something. People are learning to adjust to relying on each other again. Mutual aid groups have been taking up the slack where the government has failed. The growing community have stepped up by offering a way of not only subsistence but nourishment that is more conducive to health and commercial processed food. We are learning how the right look after themselves, and we have to continue to look after each other. Homeschooling and the opportunity of engaging with our children on a day-to-day basis over banking education has opened up new avenues of learning. We are realising that much of the work we are employed to do is useless, and there is a need for a new work ethic that better serves our needs than corporate greed. So this is where we're at right at this moment. If we fail to learn from the many events of 2020, particularly about who's doing the most important work, 2021 could be much worse. There is no such thing as going back to normal, and we need to remember normal wasn't that great for most people anyway. But there is the opportunity for new and extraordinary things to happen, some of which are coming to light within the pandemic. So it's these aspects of the present situation that we believe to be important in moving forward that we want to highlight, programme and discuss in 2021 in the RIFF.